Welcome to the Threat Insights Weekly Group Discussion. We've got a few items on the agenda. The first thing I'm going to call out is that we moved our accomplishments list to the threat management staff meeting that occurred just before this. So if you weren't there, Matt, you're always welcome. I think you're on the invite for that. If not,
I am, but I feel like that's a little bit of a weird meeting for me to attend since I'm not Wayne's staff, since that's the threat management staff meeting.
Well, would you be interested in looking at those accomplishments on the agenda on a preset basis for your own knowledge?
Yeah, that's fine. I actually read the agenda, and if there's no questions for me, which there never are, I don't attend that one.
Well, this will give you some insight then into the container security accomplishments as well if you go there to read the agenda. So it's another win. Jonathan is not here, and he was just on the last call, so I was expecting him to be here. So he's got the first demo item listed here. We don't have anything for previous discussions. There's a window here if you guys want to bring up a previous discussion that you hadn't thought about ahead of time. Okay. So I hope everyone had a chance to look at Jonathan's demo video. I have not. I will check it out after this. And we'll get right into planning breakdown. And again, we don't have anyone from the front end team here, so we can try and talk about some of this, or I don't know, maybe we should have considered the time of day for this one. There's been some discussion around the dismissal types and reasons against the bulk dismissal and the order in which we approach those. So this maybe would have fallen into the ongoing discussion category. And I'm not sure if Alan or Miha, have you had a chance to follow any of that discussion? I think, Alan, you've been participating in it. Maybe not. I'm pulling it up.
Maybe not. No.
Sorry. Most of it looks like it took place in the bulk dismissal issue. So I can share, or I mean, is this something that we should get into right now, given the audience that we have? I guess is my first question. Matt, what do you think? I know this is one of our things that we want to have ready for 13.7, along with the JIRA issue creation.
Yeah, I think between, so the updates to the dismissal types or the reasons on the vulnerability list page versus the individual dismissal options for a vulnerability object, it's kind of half a dozen of one, six of another. I think we'll have to do them both. So I would say the discussion has mostly been around, let's do whichever one makes the most sense from I guess a technical feasibility or ease of implementation, because they'll be in alignment once both pieces are done. So either one is a good enhancement. So I don't really have a strong preference which gets done first.
I think the main consideration here is the database change that needs to be made to separate the dismissal reason from the comment. So, you know, we initially identified that as part of the discussions around this bulk dismissal issue. My last suggestion, which was 3 days ago that we haven't heard any feedback on, was let's take care of the dismissal types and reasons first and include that database change as part of that work, because it's more, I don't know, it seems more focused and consolidated. And then once that's complete, do the bulk status change, which would include the expansion. Well, no, the dismissal reason issue would cover making those dismissal reasons consistent across all the various places, right? So we've got the pipeline modal, the standalone vulnerability page, and then the current bulk dismissal feature that's available on the dashboard. So those reasons would become consistent. And then we'd also have a standalone database field to capture those dismissal reasons in and stop populating those in the comment field. And then once that's done, we'd shift our gears and look at the bulk status change, which would harness that work and kind of change the interaction with that dismissal reason on the dashboard. So that's where we stand with that. I don't know if we have the right audience to agree with this decision, but I'll follow up asynchronously. Savash and who is the backend? I don't know if there's the need for a backend person to help make this decision right now. And Alan, you were part of this conversation. I see your name on it. You're part of every conversation though, so it's hard not to. So So I think we just need to agree and move forward is what needs to happen. And Savasha is the person that I've asked to do the planning breakdown, at least for the status change, the bulk status change. And I think this falls in line with that because they are so closely related. So I'll sync up with him. We can agree, we can just agree on an approach and move forward. And if anyone has any big concerns with that, then they can bring it up in the issue. Sound like a good plan?
Yep.
I will work with Savash. Yeah. Okay. Another issue that probably needs front-end team representation that's not just me. So the next priority that Matt would like us to have refined or broken down and refined is the templatized vulnerability details page. So taking the generic schema concept that James put forward, and we've focused on, you know, the display of the details and absorb and what I'm unclear of, and I think Mihao and Alan can help make this more clear for me right now, is what backend work have you had? First of all, have you had a chance to look at this generic report schema? I see Alan nodding his head a bit. Mihao, have you had a chance to look at it?
I did look at it, but it was quite some time ago.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for way too long, and we need to make some action on it. Matt mentioned that yesterday. It's been a few months, and that's got to be kind of frustrating for James, who put these ideas forward, and we've already missed the opportunity for it to get used by things like the fuzz testing, scan results. So what I'm a little confused about is what backend work is required to adjust how we're storing this data based on this generic report schema.
As far as I'm concerned, we basically ship everything that's required for this
Already.
But some information might not be present, like depending on what scanner is involved in the vulnerability. So if you look at the design, there's like evidence, which has registers section, which I am not sure where did that come up from. I do not recall we have any scanner that returns information about registers involved in the vulnerability. So the question is, like, should we have all the information, or where does the mockup come from? Where does the data come from? Because there are some sections I'm not sure we actually have. So like this register part. So some information might not show up, and we need to have a clear picture of what scanners are we currently expecting to have, and what scanners we will have in the future, so we can anticipate maybe changes in sections or whatever.
So I think maybe I can clear this up. The design mockup is, if you take each one of those sections out of the context of it being in the vulnerability page, it's really just a block of information. So the generic schema report, it defines all of these different, I don't know what we want to call them, data types, object types in the schema. They're all optional, and any scanner is able to construct its output with any combination, including nesting, any of these data types. So specifically about the registers, I doubt that anything other than one of the fuzzers would be able to output something like that. So in the case of a particular fuzz test where they did have a register value, they could include that as part of their finding in their schema. The UI work is just when you see that object type with or whatever we want to call it,
Okay.
of type register, we will render it like that.
Okay, so
And in fact, I think the register, Lindsay, what was the block that was actually in?
Evidence?
Yeah, I think maybe I'll get Andy, or I can even add some annotations here. So like the register itself, I don't think there's actually something called a register. It's actually or maybe there was a register. I think this is just showing a table.
yeah, this shows a table. This section shows a table of registers, values, and nodes, which Yeah, I was wondering, because like I'm looking at the modified data and this shows like a div. So this will require, yeah, front-end work and I think back-end work as well in this case, since we need to present the data in this really nice way, and we need to get the format in which we return the data from the database to the front end to match what they expect us to return. Because currently we just basically dump everything we have with regards to the vulnerability as we store it in the database. Alan might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we just basically parse the raw metadata column and just return that.
Yeah, I haven't been checking the single vulnerability page if it's already like rendering on the front end side or on the back end side, because I don't remember right now. But
it's still the back end.
Okay, so we need to like there's definitely a discussion needed between front end and back end to discuss what we'd like and how we'd like to achieve that, because it's really relatively easily for the back end, because we will prepare something in Markdown and it will be rendered then by some like Markdown parser or something like that. But at the same time, if we would like to make it rendering on the front end side, that means we need to return that information in the format that front end will be satisfied with, and it'll be easy to render it on the front end side. So these are two things that I don't believe we've been discussing before, because like all the technique, like all the, let's say, details about the feature are easy to understand, and the rationale, it's all great, but we still don't know how we would like to, and who needs to lead the whole discussion in terms of how to present the data. Yeah.
Sounds like that would be best suited for a synchronous discussion based on the complexity of it.
Yeah.
And this half-hour call, you know, is not maybe not the right time, given that we have other agenda items and we don't always have the right audience. So I think it sounds like we need a targeted audience, maybe an hour period of time, really good notes and recordings for people who can't be there. I could take the action to get that scheduled this week and identify who the right front-end person. That being said, I'll work with Tiago to figure out who the right individuals are, because I know people are busy doing things. So that's great information. And just a reminder that we do have sort of this proof of concept to refer to, and the author of it here to talk to. So, you know, James did have some approaches on how to solve this. I'm not saying we need to use all of his code and all of his solutions, but it's one source there for us. Okay, let me put a note here. And I did try to get some assistance from Neil McCorson, the secure front-end team on this. They're pushing forward with some of the other needs scanners because this hasn't been put in place. So it's kind of a chicken and an egg scenario here, but it sounds like it's going to be on our team to get this implemented, which is fine. So, and this, I don't know if this is even true anymore based on what you guys were saying, but minimal. This was from the last discussion. So, two days. Okay. So the next issue that we have, and we definitely still have time to talk about it, is C on this list, which is indicating if vulnerabilities are new or not. Jonathan created this a few months ago, and I believe there's a lot of relationships with other work that's been going on around UUIDs and location fingerprints, and it's become completely unclear to me what's duplicate or related and what's not. So this is your opportunity to explain that to me, unless we need Jonathan here. So have either of you had a chance to take a look at this issue?
Okay, so I did take a look at it, but I am not sure because there is a problem in which we have we will create vulnerabilities based on findings. So if we determine that the finding is identical in a subsequent scan, then we will not create a vulnerability for it. We won't create a vulnerability for that one. So I am not sure how exactly are we getting duplicate vulnerabilities, or like how we are supposed to differentiate them. If they come in, if they show up in different places, then we will have a different location fingerprint for them. So if we want to mark them as new, then we should find a way to detect if it's the same vulnerability, but it became shifted in the code, like maybe moved down 20 lines. So this might be a different thing than the UID thingy I'm working on currently. Because the basic assumption is that the scans work like in a deterministic way. So they scan they scan the whole application in the same way every time, which is not true. So we might have a difficulty recognizing that, hey, this is a new vulnerability, or we did fix it and we should mark it as fixed and show how many times we do fix that.
I hear what you're saying, and I don't have a response. Matt, do you have any? I mean, is this an issue that we should just not be discussing right now, given all of the other ongoing discussions around this?
Probably, and I had actually moved it to the backlog because I'm not 100% sure if it's still going to, I guess, be valid or be relevant with some of the other work ongoing. I guess I get the intent, but I'm not sure if there was anything specifically actionable about it, kind of reading through the description in the history.
And I admit, I'm not sure who put these last 3 items on the agenda, if it was myself or Tiago. So we can just defer this one.
Yeah, I think that's probably most appropriate. And then maybe Jonathan can help if he remembers 3 or 4 months ago what he was thinking when he created that particular issue.
There's a bigger topic here around location fingerprints that, is clearly set in the back end. I don't want to be taking over areas that, are not part of my responsibility, but we should be following up on them. I'm not sure, Matt, if you have any issues already refined or in the, that are dedicated to that.
There are definitely a lot of issues that are related to that. I think what's been challenging across the board is determining, are certain behaviors, are they defects in the UI, or are they actually sort of fundamentally related to the way that we're doing things like the fingerprinting and the comparisons. And a lot of this is, I think people are reacting to symptoms that they're seeing without really understanding what's causing that. And that's what's led to a lot of the confusion. Because in some places, I think it's just confusing in the UI, but the behavior may actually be correct for what it is. So I don't have a great answer. I see my note was to collect all of the things together, and I had started doing that, but I did not finish all of the things that are related to quality of the MR comparison results. I mean, I think ultimately that's what he's asking for, is the way it's supposed to work, is the vulnerabilities are only supposed to get flagged in the feature MRs if they are newly introduced.
Right, and given that this was created 3 months ago, it was right around that time when the UI changed and brought visibility into that piece of the MR widget, and we removed the word new to address it, was the big solution in place. So I'm sure it's in line with that. So Matt, I'll let you and Tiago decide what the correct issue is to get put into our workflow to represent the breakdown and refinement, so that if there are changes that need to be made, which on whatever scale, we're prioritizing those.
Yeah, we can definitely leave that one off. And the other one, honestly, I don't really even remember. It looks like it was something that Mike and Seth had opened a long time ago. And the next one to 3 probably should come off there. I'll blame Tiago. That's who said he put that on there.
I think this was an effort to try and do some cleanup is what these last few items on the list were. And I know that the two after this are very front end heavy and we don't have anyone from my team here to help give their input. So I think we're probably just going to call this discussion. But thank you, Alan and Matt, for your time. Do either of you have anything that you wanted to bring up or that you wanted to talk about? Nope. All right, I'll share the video. So informative. Thank you.
Yeah.